Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
All right, welcome to episode. What are we on? Episode 2, Fathers of the Grind. Something like that.
we rebooted the franchise.
Yeah.
We
This
are
is the
now.
reboot.
Should we just announce it? Yeah, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Rebooted the show because prior to the reboot, we were two separate fathers who were married to women and had kids in our own family. The reboot is now we are a couple. We are together. We're considering adopting children.
Yeah.
And
or dogs, whichever.
Yeah. And we are anti-women's rights. We both agree on this that women shouldn't be able to vote. They shouldn't be able to drive. Wear clothes. We're anti their rights.
So we're super progressive in some ways, but very old school.
But
in
we're
other ways.
really holding tight to that right wing standard when it comes to women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this, really, what we're saying is there's something to love and hate for every group that's out there.
Yeah.
I
gotta say, we missed last week. It's good to be back. I did want to record last week for all the listeners who don't know, and that would be the two people that do listen who already know. So I'm actually just saying this for no reason. My mother passed away, and I still wanted to record, but it was just too busy with family and everything going on. So we decided, I think the best option was for us to wait. And I'm happy to do it because it's like a distraction. It's something fun to do where you don't have to think about anything, but just a hobby, something you like. Plus, like Tim said before, it's a good time. Tim and I don't get to talk a lot during the week. Our gayness can't be together all the time.
Yeah. Couples therapy.
So we have to schedule in our podcast so we can have some type of quality time together. So yeah, this is a good opportunity for us to have a conversation.
Listen, what he's saying is that we haven't had a date night in a while.
This is date night. And no, we're not going to talk about basketball. I'm just going to say I'm proud of Michigan. They're in the championship game. I expect them to lose. So if you listen to this show tomorrow morning, I expect Michigan to lose, but I am happy that they made it.
As do most of the experts. So
it's like the biggest spread in a championship game since 2010 or something like that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. That'll be exciting. But yeah, we're glad to be back. It's always good to take time off, especially when it's needed. Mm-hmm. So we did that. Also, we've decided to go ahead and change the name of the show.
Yeah,
to Grinding Fathers. I don't see how anyone can misread that. So
yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah,
I approve. I mean, this is the first time you're telling me, but I'm on board. It fits.
All these
our
fake announcements from both of us. It is April Fool's Day, so.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that when I was making my literally gay jokes.
Yeah, we are going to talk about the game A Way Out, and I think you all know what that actually means.
A way out of the closet.
What's funny is there's actually a scene in that game, not really spoilers, but there's a scene in that game when you're changing outfits and you do actually walk out of a closet.
Yeah, both individuals.
You each have to take turns going into the closet and then coming out of the closet.
Pretty awesome.
And the game's called A Way Out. So you guys read between those lines. All right, well, hey, why don't you get us started? Let us know if you have decided to rejoin the gamers of the world, or are you still a grumpy old man who just sits and watches basketball?
I know. I went through a good solid month and a half slump because I did that 4 in February, and after I finished the 4 in February, I was like, I don't want to play anything. But yeah, we've talked about the last few shows that I was really hoping Far Cry 5 would be the game that kind of got me back into gaming, and I can safely say, and we'll talk about it in detail, it definitely has. It has its hooks in me, and I am enjoying it, and I just want to keep playing it. I mean, that was actually what I was playing right before we decided to record. But I've been playing some other stuff. We'll talk about Sea of Thieves. I played a little bit of that. Of course, I played A Way Out with you.
Yeah, you did.
We're still trying to find a way out of that closet. But yeah, I have some impressions on that. Hopefully we get to that on the show, so I'm not going to really talk about it now. The only game I'm playing that we're probably not going to cover in the show, so I'll just cover it now, is Ni no Kuni 2. I have not played a lot of it, but I did check out a little bit of it, and I really like the combat. Again, I'm not deep into this game, so I can't really talk about it in depth because Far Cry 5 is my main game. But Ni no Kuni 2 it's fun. It's got really fast-paced combat. It kind of has like a Tales of whatever Tales game you want to talk about type style combat. I know it gets more in depth. It actually combines the Tales of action RPG combat with like what was the game? What's the Nintendo game that I like?
Xenoblade.
No, Pikmin.
Oh.
So it kind of combines a little bit of the Pikmin to the
Nice.
action RPG because you have like little armies of I don't know, critters that are in battle with you, and they have the ability to heal you or to add extra damage and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff I have not discovered yet because again, not real deep into it, but I'll definitely play it more. But for now, I'm really hot on Far Cry 5, so I want to stick to that and hopefully beat that game.
Nice. You're back. Welcome back.
I am back. I think Far Cry did it for me. It engaged me enough that I want to keep playing games.
Nice. Yeah, that is another one I'm playing. We will talk about Far Cry 5, A Way Out, which you and I are almost finished with.
Can I ask you a question? Because there's somebody screaming in the background. Is that the maid? Is she there cleaning our house and making us sandwiches?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make
Don't worry. That's all it is.
It's not. You're not secretly married to a woman again. It's just
that's crazy talk, okay?
Okay. Tell her to make me a sandwich because I'm hungry.
It's called A Way Out, not A Way Back In, okay? So...
all these gay jokes. We've offended all 2 of our listeners. We are down to 0. Guys, I'm progressive. You guys are offending me. Stop making fun of the rainbows. Okay.
All right, so yeah, I did finish Dishonored 2 a little while back.
Cool.
Really liked that game. I played through the game as Emily,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's a really cool story. I can imagine the way the story is flipped if you pick Corvo instead. There's a pretty key moment right at the beginning of the game where you pick who you want to play as, and so yeah, it's pretty clear out of the gate that what happens after that is kind of tailored around it being her, because there's a lot of things that are very specific to her being the Empress, and who her mom was, and the way that the enemies talk to her. So I imagine it's a altered experience playing as Corvo. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and he has totally different abilities, so I think the gameplay would be impacted a little bit.
Yeah, she's
too.
very stealthy, and I think he's more combat oriented, right?
I played as Emily.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't play very stealthy.
She's got some great
posted
attacks.
clips.
Yeah.
But I will definitely. I enjoyed Dishonored 2. I just didn't enjoy it as much as probably I should have, because I think I remember when I bought it, I played it right away. But it came out with a bunch of other games, and so I kind of rushed through that one and was getting frustrated, I think, with the stealth. But then when I played, what was the Dishonored game that was attached to Dishonored?
Death of the Outsider?
Yeah, I really like Death of the Outsider, but that was the only game I was really playing at the time, and so I kind of just slowly moved through it and enjoyed it. So I'm fully convinced that if I went back and did a second playthrough, I would be like, this game's amazing. I don't know why I was kind of harsh on it.
No, it's really, really good. It is more Dishonored though, so if you liked Dishonored, it's a no-brainer. Get it, because this is more of that. It's slightly improved versions of that, but a lot of the powers, a lot of the fighting, the way the enemy AI works, all that is very Dishonored. So it's not anything super new, but the story is very interesting. Some of the characters you meet are cool. There's actually one specific character who you team up with who is kind of like the headliner of Death of the Outsider. So that's kind of cool too. So anyway, that was I like that experience. It's about a 12, 13-hour game, maybe, something like that. Do some side stuff. It can get up into the 20 and 30-hour range, I think.
Yeah.
But I didn't do pretty much any of the side stuff. I just kind of mainlined it, and it was good. I enjoyed it. Just a cool 12 hours. Yeah, my wife is reacting to how much time is spent. That's a
Wait,
short
what?
game. That's a short game
What?
too,
I
babe.
think you just slipped up. Your what? Your
Oh, you-
wife?
Oh, you heard me. Oh, you heard me.
That's
She's now
'cause she-
she's
that's 'cause she
suggesting
can
that
hear
I
you.
get a treadmill installed right in front of my video game screen so I can make sure that I'm not becoming.
Did you tell her about all the weight I've lost because I'm emo?
Derek gave up gaming for about 6 weeks and lost what, 25 pounds?
Yeah, 25 pounds since January 1st.
How about that? She likes that idea. She thinks I should do the same thing.
Let's just switch roles. I'll get back into gaming. I'll get fatter, and
Uh-huh.
then you can get all emo and be like, "Oh, I'm depressed. Let me go to the gym."
Nah, pass.
Okay,
Now that I'm thinking that through, that doesn't sound fun.
that doesn't sound like Tim.
That doesn't sound fun. All right, let me give you a quick indie game update. I played through Owlboy. Love it.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Finished
excited about that.
finished that game. Really great game. Highly recommend it. I think it's coming to PS4 and Xbox One later this year, but for right now it's just PC and Switch. So I recommend it. It's fantastic on either one of those systems. It's easier on the Switch, obviously, because you can play it handheld mode. Same thing with Bayonetta. Finished that game. That game is tough.
Yeah.
I played it through a normal, and that is not an easy game. I died a lot,
I
especially
don't
towards
think
the end.
any platinum game is easy on normal. Even on easy, some of them can be difficult.
You know, you're right, because I played through that Transformers game of theirs from last year, or from a couple years back, I guess. I played it last year, and I had to play that one on easy because I was like, this isn't worth really trying to get really good at. I just wanted to play it through for fun, and normal mode was really tough on that too. So yeah, it is a Platinum Games thing. I think you're right about that.
Well, I played Metal Gear Revengeance, and that's platinum, and I played it on easy and was rage quitting on some of the boss fights. And I know other people will agree, like some of the later boss fights were ridiculous, even on easy. But
Yeah.
they're hard. Their games are hard for me.
So Bayonetta was tough. I'll tell you though, for being something that was very arcadey and silly, and it had its own weird take on angels versus demons kind of a story. It was, whatever. It was what it was. I didn't think much about it. By the last few levels, it actually was kind of interesting as they explain a little bit more of the lore. So I thought it was actually surprisingly interesting by the end.
Okay.
I won't call it good or great in terms of just story, but it's just a fun action game. And then I did start up Bayonetta 2. Only played it for like 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, just to get a feel for the differences. And it is vastly improved. So they did a bunch of cool stuff in Bayonetta 2 already. Both visuals as well as the combat, just way, way better already. So
Okay.
I will play that at some point, but I've got other stuff going on. Obviously, I'm quite hooked on Sea of Thieves. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
You and I are working through A Way Out, and we also are we haven't co-op because we're on different consoles, but played some Far Cry 5 as well. So killing all kinds of cultists and all that, and we'll get to that in a little bit. I do want to touch on this Nindies Direct that happened just before.
Make it quick. You're gonna bore me.
Just before we the last time we were going to record, this Nindies Direct happened, and of course we haven't talked about it since then. So there's 14 games. I'm actually not going to talk about all of them. Feel free to go look it up for yourselves if you're listening. If you've probably already seen it. I just wanted to highlight 3 specifically that I'm very excited about.
Okay.
Number 1, Mark of the Ninja from Clay, coming out this fall. It's Mark of the Ninja Remastered. I do believe it's coming to multiple systems, at least Switch and PC. But the fact that it's coming to Switch is perfect. This is one of my favorite stealth games, but definitely my favorite side-scrolling stealth game. I remember playing this on the 360 way back in the day, and it's a really fun game with a pretty interesting ninja story. I like it a lot. So Mark of the Ninja is coming out. Lightfall from a company called Bishop Games. It looks to me like Celeste and Limbo, those 2 games kind of combined. So yes, very indie style, very fast-paced platforming puzzle type stuff. So that one looks interesting to me as well. And then there's one that really caught my attention because I'm of course an old school Nintendo and Super Nintendo boy. So it's called The Messenger, and that comes out this summer, and it's from Sabotage, published by Devolver. I feel like Devolver publishes like almost every indie. This looks like old school Ninja Gaiden from the old NES days, but then apparently there's a time jump in the game, and then the graphics upgrade to more 16-bit Super NES style. So it's a really cool concept. It's called The Messenger. I'm really excited about that one. It looks really great. And there's a whole bunch of other announcements that happened as well. We won't worry about those for the moment. So.
I mean, the only thing I kind of cared about was the Banner Saga franchise is coming over.
Did you actually play through the first two?
I played a good amount of the first one. The biggest issue with that game for me, this is just me, is I think the choices are really cool. I think the combat is fun. It's just a lot of talking. It's all like text. Most of it's text reading, which is what loses me. Like games like Pyra and all that stuff, when they talk too much, I'm like, okay, I just don't want to play this. So, but I think that's a good franchise. It always reviews well. I think it's a fun game. I think it's cool that all three of them are coming over to the Switch. Yeah,
they are going to release the first two. They didn't announce when, but Banner Saga 3 so far is only confirmed for Switch and PC.
Yeah.
I'm positive it's going to come to all systems, but it sounds like it might hit Switch first. Yeah. And if you're like me and you've only kind of barely tried the first one, now that all three are coming to Switch, it's one of those things where it's like, this feels like a good summertime strategy RPG game to get into. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll try it or not, but it is cool that it's coming to the system.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, without further ado, let's jump into Sea of Thieves. Now, I've got a lot more thoughts on this than Derek does. It's funny because I assumed that you would have liked this game and I would have been like, yeah, not my thing. I don't know why. I just assumed that this might have been the game to pull you back in. I would have tried it for a night and said, no, thanks. It's actually been quite the opposite. You barely dipped your toes into this game. I mean, I think you got kind of an idea of what it's like with between the betas and between your 1 or 2 nights of playing. I've put many hours into Sea of Thieves already, and I really like this game. I find the experience to be quite cathartic just to jump in and do a little exploring. So let's talk about the biggest Xbox exclusive in almost a year and a half. Is that overstating it a bit? Probably Gears 4 was their last.
Yeah, because people like Halo Wars 2, but I wouldn't call it significant.
I would say their last major exclusive was fall 2016 with Gears of War 4. That was a year and a half ago.
Horizon 3 was big.
That was last fall?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. All I'm saying is this is a major
No,
release.
I'm sorry. Forza 7 is what came out last fall. Not
Forza 7.
Right.
Okay.
So I mean Forza 7 is a big release, but we've gotten 7 of them, so yeah, it doesn't feel that way.
Right. Especially for those of us who just aren't into racing games. I'll be the first one to volunteer myself for that, to be in part of that group.
I think this is a big first party game, but it's also a new IP.
Brand new IP.
I could see why
it's a return to form for Rare, who really hasn't been around much outside of just a few little things here and there, a bunch of Kinect stuff that most of us have kind of written off Rare as, boy, they used to be great. And so this was a chance for Rare to jump back into a big open world adventure. It was online centric, and many of us were excited, cautiously optimistic about it, and I was looking forward to a reason to fire up the old Xbox One. Sorry, my wife is texting me saying, you're a loser, but I still love you. Thanks, baby. She overheard a good portion of my conversation about how many hours I spend and how much I know about this stuff. I don't disagree with her. But anyway, you would never say that to me. So anyway,
no, I would not.
So let's jump into Sea of Thieves. Let's talk about this. First of all, there might be someone listening who doesn't know a ton about this game. Probably not, but maybe. So what is this game? I would sum it up by saying it is basically No Man's Sky Pirate Edition / much better edition, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So it is a first-person open-world adventure game. Much like No Man's Sky, you're dropped into the middle of a seemingly random place, and you have basically nothing to your name. No money, no equipment. You got to go out and find everything.
So at least I'm consistent, because you even said in the intro, you're like, I thought for sure Derek would like Sea of Thieves, and I wouldn't. But going into it, I was leaning towards this game being more like a Destiny type experience,
right,
than a No Man's Sky. And then again, I haven't played a lot, but the bit that I played, the couple hours I've played, it did nothing for me, because you and I even talked about it. I was like, we feel like this is like No Man's Sky Pirate Edition, and I'm like, I don't like No Man's Sky, so I don't like this game. So I'm staying at least consistent. Nobody can call me an Xbot because I'm saying it here. Sea of Thieves does nothing for me. No Man's Sky does nothing for me. I just don't care about those type of games.
And by the way, just a side note, No Man's Sky keeps releasing these major updates that foolishly I keep going, do I want to try that game again? I keep foolishly wondering that. I don't know if I do or not.
Did
but
they
anyway.
add co-op though? That would be the biggest difference. Is
If
Sea
they
of
did,
Thieves
that
is
would
encouraging
change.
co-op.
Yeah, that would totally change everything if they did. I know they added much more story-based, mission-based stuff. But anyway, we can talk about No Man's Sky again another time if either one of us decide to ever give it another try.
I won't.
But Sea of Thieves, I think it's a fair comparison to say No Man's Sky, and here's why I say that. They put you in a very unique, very aesthetically pleasing, for the most part, setting. Like a No Man's Sky, you're on these colorful planets sometimes with all these new creatures and lots to explore. Sea of Thieves felt the same way. You start out on this outpost. You don't really know where you're going or what you're supposed to do. You just kind of have to find your way. And you eventually realize, okay, I have to talk to the merchants to get these types of missions. Oh, okay, I got to talk to the gold guy over here, and I got to talk to the souls lady in there. And you got to start figuring out who to work for and what kind of missions you're running and how do I get there. There's really no waypoints you set. You just kind of have to look on the map and then actually steer in that direction using your compass. So you're actually piloting a ship in some very broad ways like a pirate would have, in that you have to find it on the map. Some maps only give you the shape of the island. You have to go and actually comb over your map in your ship to find it. So they do some things that make you feel like you're really working for it. And that's kind of what this game is all about, is finding your own way, setting up, creating your own adventures as you go. And it is not meant to be played solo. That's the option. You have the option of playing solo.
Yeah.
But I do not recommend it. And I've spent a lot of hours playing solo because a lot of times I look online, I don't see any friends currently playing it. I don't feel like waiting till I can bug enough people to join me. I don't like playing with randoms. Okay, I had a bad experience with randoms. I've gotten thrown in the brig. I've gotten, left behind on the island. All that kind of. It's just annoying. And sometimes you can get lucky and get some decent people, but
but for the most part,
I have played one player, and I don't recommend it because you can totally. There's two different types of ships. There's a smaller ship called a sloop. It has essentially three things to control: anchor to raise it or lower it to stop. You've got the wheel, and then you've got the sail. There's one single sail to control, to lower it, raise it, or kind of adjust it sideways to catch the wind a little bit better. And that's doable with one person. I've kind of gotten used to that. I can run a sloop by myself. It's not easy to do ship battles because you need someone to man the cannons, but that's another story. The problem is that if you decide to run, trying to be more efficient, and you want to run maybe 3 missions, you go out, you capture a few skulls, you grab a few chickens, and you grab some treasure chests. I'll talk about those in a second. And you load them all up on your ship, and you're going to head back to sell everything. If you get jumped by another ship of other players, you're screwed. Because even if you make it quickly to the outpost, grab one of your things and run in to sell it, by the time you come back for the second thing, other ship will have arrived. Their players will have jumped on your boat to steal your stuff, or will have sunk your ship. It happens all the time. So on the one hand, that's annoying. On the other hand, you're pirates. That's the whole point. You're stealing from each other. You're backstabbing each other. That's what happens. So that's why I don't recommend playing one player, although I do sometimes jump in there one player. So that's what this game is. It's an open world pirate adventure. There's tons of water. The islands, there's a few pretty big islands, but most of them, most of the game is just out in the open water. That's what most of this game is. So let me shift to talk about visuals, because this is something I know that you have a thought on. How does this game look?
Outstanding. I like the way that it combines the cartoony look with, if you look at the water, it looks better than real water. It's realistic looking, and
it looks more real than real water.
It really does. It's realistic looking. The way it moves, the way it crashes against your boat, against rocks, whatever. When it's storming, the way the coloring of the water changes. I mean, this is one of the best looking games when it comes to that combination of realistic and cartoony. I love it. I think they do an outstanding job. And what's cool is, like, you look at the water from your boat or the island or something. You're like, wow, this looks so beautiful, and then you dive in, and then it's cartoony again. So
Yep.
it's really cool how they switch it up.
Yep, and you jump on the islands and the trees and the animals, the skeletons you fight, all very much in that cartoony, not cell shaded, but almost cell shaded look, right? Where it's very colorful but very stylized as a cartoony look.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, like you said, when you're out in the open water and when you get into a storm, holy cow, the water turns really green and the rain is rushing around and there's so much wind and you can't control the rudder very well, so your boat's kind of at the mercy of the storm, and all you're doing is trying to patch up any holes that get busted in there from the storm and bail out the water as it rains, and you just kind of have to wait it out. It feels like you're really stuck in a storm. So they did a great job with the way the weather, sky also looks great. The lighting from the sun looks amazing, and the moon. The stars look great when you walk outside and you realize the stars are out. They did a great job with kind of the environmental, weather-related things, everything from the water to the sky. And I don't mind the cartoony character design at all. I know it's not for everybody, but I think the cartoony characters are fine. If they were super realistic, I feel like they may have limited themselves in how smoothly the game tends to run and how good the rest of the areas look. So if they were to try to make all the characters uber realistic, it probably would have taken away from the game, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was a smart design choice to do that. So overall visuals, I'm with you. Really, really good.
Yeah, real good looking game.
This is a game about exploration, though. And there is combat. You fire cannons, you have guns, you have a sword. So there's the exploration is the biggest part of it. And I think this game does a really good job, maybe not a perfect job, of opening up the world for you to explore. The main problem I have with it, and I guess it's not a big problem with the world that they've created, is that there's not a lot of variety. They do some things that I can talk about, how they add variety to the experiences, but in terms of each island you land at, I know you're just in the Caribbean, so what am I expecting? I'm not saying I expected there to be a desert and then a snow land and then a whatever. I'm not saying that, but there are times when it lacks a little bit of variety as you're going from island to island. So if you are playing alone, it will get old quickly. In addition to the potential of getting jumped by a bunch of jerks online, you also could just get burnt out from going from, even though they're differently shaped and sometimes some of them have more landmass, for the most part, these island experiences are very similar. You've got a very limited number of animal types to run into, and really only one enemy type. That's a skeleton, although some of those do get much tougher. So, as far as exploration goes, I think they do a good job at the beginning. I just don't know if the depth is really there for someone playing, really feeling like, again, the comparison to No Man's Sky, for all of its faults, one of the coolest things about that game is that every single light you see in the sky, every star, you can fly to and explore, and that planet will generate, and you've got brand new stuff to look at. It's all going to be brand new. Now, they do reuse a lot of assets in that game, which is a problem, but at least you feel like this is something totally new to discover. And the world of Sea of Thieves, now that I've played it for a while and explored pretty much the whole map, it does feel a lot smaller to me now. So like, I kind of have an idea of where most of the main islands and outposts are, so it feels a little small.
Yeah.
So, but there are three main mission types. You're either catching animals, chickens, pigs, and eventually snakes when you level up enough, or you're killing skeletons, and then you're turning in, once you kill boss skeletons, they have orange names over their heads, then you get their glowing skull to take back in the cell, or you're finding buried treasure. Those are the three main mission types that you're running. So there's three guilds. You've got the Merchant Alliance. Of course, for them, you're any kind of crates you find that might have spices or tea or things like that, you go sell to them. Any chests or gold trinkets you find, you go to the gold. I think they're called the Gold Guild or something like that. There's a little guy in a green tent, and he is always buying any kind of chests from you. So he'll give you missions where you can either get a clue or a map with the X marks the spot type of a location. You have to go find which island that is and then go dig up the treasure. Or you are going on essentially assassination missions for the Order of Souls. And then they're the ones who you bring the glowing skulls back to. And so each one gains favor with the guild. Ranking up gets you unique items, better missions. The better the mission, the more money it costs to get the mission. But then, of course, the rewards are much, much greater. You can sell anything you find. There's lots of stuff to find. You can find messages in a bottle, which randomize missions. You can literally just go to an island and start looking around. You might even be able to find some stuff on your own, which is great. Sometimes there's just a treasure chest hidden behind a rock or in a cave. So you can always do that as well on your own. Here's why that's the a summary of how the game works. And here's the biggest problem I have with it. And I was telling you about this when we were playing. The game really doesn't have progression in terms of, now that I've done this, my ship is a little bit faster. Now that I've done this, I can reload my gun faster. Or now I can carry more than 5 bullets. For some reason, you can carry 10 cannonballs, but only 5 little bullets. That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, there's no real upgrades to you as a character or to your ship. The only things you upgrade are aesthetics. So you can buy a new hat, you can get a new patch, you can get a hook or a peg leg or some really cool looking jacket. You can get a new spyglass. You can get a new jug for your ale. There's all sorts of visual things you can upgrade. You can even get new paint jobs on your ship and new sails. All of that can look really cool. I've run into some pirates who have really upgraded some stuff, and they look pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But none of it helps in the game at all. It's just visual. It's just to show off, and that's area.
That's my biggest issue. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I'm all for, and Kyle Neely and I say this all the time, so I'm not going to contradict myself. I'm all for playing the game that the developer makes, not telling them what they should do. So that being said, one of the reasons I don't like this game is because I want to play it knowing that I'm getting better. And I'm not talking about me getting better. I'm talking about my character getting better. And the big part of that is they don't have that progression system. The combat is kind of bland. I know we're going to talk about it in a second. I mean, firing a gun is super cool, but the enemies are boring. I mean, it's not like, you're strategically hiding behind a tree and then ducking out and firing or anything. It's not fun like that. It's just, skeleton, boom, okay, done.
Yeah.
So there's nothing from a gameplay and progression system that I really care about, and that's why I can't get into this game. I'm not saying it's not fun. I'm not saying people that like it are clearly Xbots. I don't think that's the issue at all. I think this game is just, I know you could technically say this about any game, but really this and No Man's Sky, they're in this category where you either have the personality that loves this style of game because it is unique, or you don't. And I'm one of those that needs structure, that wants to feel like he's either progressing through a story or that his character's getting better. Because Destiny, I don't play the game for the story. I play the game because I'm like, I want my character to keep getting better
your level
and look cooler. So I do care about the looks, but I also want to get better loot, better guns, better whatever, armor. This game doesn't have that. It doesn't have a story, and so that's why for me, it's not about, let's just get together with buddies and play this game and what? For the experience, I guess, but that's not something I care about.
Yeah.
That's my biggest issue.
No, and I think that's a fair criticism. That's my biggest criticism of it too. And yet, it keeps pulling me back in. So even though that's my biggest criticism, it does have its hooks in me just because I've always liked open world exploration. I've always liked the idea of going and discovering something new. And it turns out that when you do upgrade to a much cooler looking pirate hat or jacket or boots or whatever, it feels cool. And you can unlock better looking guns and weapons and everything. And again, even though your sword will always do the same amount of damage, it does feel cool to upgrade some of the aesthetics. So I don't want to totally downplay that. If you're into that, then there's a lot to be rewarded with here, and there's a lot to save up for here as well. Just overall, so you guys know, the overall movement, it's in first-person perspective. Movement feels great. It doesn't feel too slow or fast. There is a run button when you just tap in the left joystick. You click it in, and of course you can run faster. But when you're carrying items, you can only carry one big item at a time, so one treasure chest at a time, one chicken coop at a time, even only one skull at a time. The idea being anything you can sell, you can only carry one thing at a time, and you cannot sprint while carrying it.
Yeah.
I was talking with Nate Bacon and his brother Alex and a few others while we were playing, and they had a good point. If someone is looting your ship, it slows them down from stealing your stuff. It gives you a chance to run, catch up to them, and shoot them and get your stuff back.
Yeah.
So that does make sense in a multiplayer and a PvP sense.
Mhm.
Sailing feels really good the way the boat moves across that water, because the water does look amazing, and the way the
Yep.
boat moves across it, both the big galleon and the small 1-2 player sloop, those both feel really good to sail. I think if when I do go back to an Assassin's Creed ship game, either Rogue or Black Flag, I have a feeling they're going to feel way more arcadey and lightweight and not as satisfying. So I think the sailing feels great. It does take work and focus to commandeer a boat, especially the big galleons where you've got 3 sails to control. You've got one person at the helm, but they can't usually see very well, so they're relying on someone in the crow's nest or up front to guide them. And then, of course, you've got 8 cannons to commandeer, and there's only 4 people on that ship at a time. It can be very hectic, and when you start getting holes in your ship, another enemy ship or someone on the island hits you with a cannon, or maybe you run aground by accident, you hit a rock, maybe you get struck by lightning in a storm, and these holes start popping up on your ship. There's a sense of panic as you run downstairs. You try to grab the planks of wood you need and quickly nail them in, start bailing out the water. It really generates a fun sense of panic to save your ship, especially if you've got treasure on there. I really do like that a lot. Overall physics in the game are pretty solid. There have been a couple of glitch moments in the game, though. My kids loved watching this game, by the way, too. My kids really like this one a lot. They love watching me go explore, and it is family friendly, at least to a certain age. Some kids might be scared by the skeletons, I guess, but for the most part, it's a pretty family friendly game.
I think it's family friendly.
I think
the
too.
worst part is if your kids were playing online with randoms. That would be the
Yeah, I was getting
worst
chased
part.
down by 2 guys in a sloop, and they were catching up to me. And as they got closer, there is a proximity microphone thing that kicks in, and then we could hear each other and chat at that point. And dude was dropping F-bombs like crazy. So disable that if you've got kids in the room, because my son goes, "What do you call you?" I was like, "Nothing, nothing, son."
Nothing.
So anyway, it is very family friendly. Sword battles are simple. You essentially attack in 3-hit combos. It is not super responsive. It's not a ninja game, so that's not too surprising. There's really no way to target an enemy. They can block, you can block as well, but there's no parry or counter attack. It's not really an in-depth combat system. There's some basic stuff there. When you do, slice them and they finally explode into a flurry of little bone pieces, that does feel pretty good. But the sword fights is usually what I save for if it's an easy enemy and I want to save bullets, or if I'm out of bullets and I'm desperate, then I'll use my sword. It's firing guns is where it's at. The pistol, which has really good aim and pretty good damage. The blunderbuss, which is pretty much your shotgun, that does really great damage up close or against a group. And then, of course, your sniper rifle, which isn't as powerful as I had hoped. I have found that headshots are not necessarily the best. Sometimes you want to hit them right in the chest, and that can explode them quicker than a headshot, since they're skeletons. But I will say this, the cannon fire feels great. And don't forget, you can climb into the cannon, and a friend can launch you onto another ship or onto an island if you want to get on the island quicker or get back onto your boat quicker. You can get into a cannon and get fired out of it. Best example of that is when I got into a cannon, Derek fired me out into the ocean and then
Yeah.
proceeded to fire cannonballs at me. And as I
Yeah.
tried to swim back to the boat, I got killed by a shark. So that was...
Which I then jumped in and rescued. Well, I didn't rescue you. I let you die, then I killed the shark.
Yeah, thanks for that. Good timing, as always.
Yeah, that was not a problem.
I put RPG elements when I first started playing this. I assumed there was going to be RPG elements. There's really not.
Nope.
So I'm just going to say there's none. There's really no story either. The idea is just you're a pirate, go do piratey stuff.
Yep.
And then multiplayer, there's not much more to say about this other than play with friends. The other night, I had an epic night of playing this game with Nate Bacon, his brother Alex, Kyle Neely, and then at one point Nate had to take off, and so Jose Jimenez jumped in, and we had so much fun. Of course, talking on chat is always fun, like our old Rocket League nights.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. You get a chance to just talk and kind of shoot the crap while you're sailing around, and of course you've got someone keeping an eye out on the horizon for, oh my goodness, there's another ship over there. Are they coming towards us? I can't tell. Get the cannons ready. Those kind of moments happen a lot, and it's really exciting. our most exciting moments that night, I just wanted to share these two things. I'm sorry we're talking so much about it. I do like this game. The first thing is we got jumped by a kraken. So I was up in the crow's nest. We were all sailing towards an island to do one of our voyages, one of our missions. And all of a sudden the music changed. There was no storm, but the sky got super dark. The water all around us turned black, or
Yeah.
at least close to black. And all of a sudden, and I wish I would have recorded this. I took a snapshot of it afterwards. But all of a sudden, out of the black water comes this giant tentacle with bright red suction cups under it and this nasty mouth on the very end of it. And then another one comes up, and then another one. And next thing you know, we're surrounded by these tentacles, and our ship is not moving very fast. Your ship slows to a crawl, and I had to run down real quick. We all get on the cannons, and we are opening fire on these tentacles. And we are just shooting them as much as we can. They'll disappear. Another 2 or 3 will pop up, and we're noticing our boat is slowly creeping through this area. All you're trying to do is survive. Because at one point, the thing wraps its tentacle, this giant tentacle, all around our boat, and it's trying to squeeze, and it's trying to pop holes in the boat. And so we're trying to repair it while shooting and slicing this big tentacle. It was an epic thing where we're all actually yelling, "There it is! Look out! Shoot the tentacles!" Like we were actually yelling, like we were getting attacked. That was really, really fun. And we survived that. And of course, if we were all around each other, we probably would have high-fived.
Did it take a while to beat?
No,
like
it
an
was
epic
maybe
battle?
maybe a 10-minute experience, something like that.
It's not bad.
I don't know if it's possible to defeat. That was my only encounter with this thing, but it
Mhm.
truly made my stomach sink for a second because all of a sudden I see the thing come out, and then Alex Bacon, who had already seen one of these things, goes, "It's the Kraken!" And we're all like, "Ah!" So we had that really fun, like video game experience moment where we all were like in the moment in the game, having a blast, and we survived. And that was really fun. And then, of course, later that night, we went and took down one of the forts. So in the distance, a lot of times in this game, you'll see a glowing cloud, a skull cloud in the sky. And if its eyes are flashing green, that means that fort is ready to be taken. No one's engaging it. If it's orange, that means someone was engaging it. So we sail all the way across the map to this glowing skull. We begin the assault. We take out some of their cannons. We get to a point where we can aim the ship cannons inland, and then we begin the battle. And it felt like a small raid because there were wave upon wave of enemy. And Derek, to your point of it's the same enemy, just skeletons. This game actually has a variety of skeleton types. So you've got your standard guys that are 3 sword slices or one bullet. But then you've got your guys with blue bandanas that are a little bit stronger. And then you've got, of course, your named guys. They're really, really tough. But there's guys that are coated in gold. And these guys you cannot hurt until you get water on them. And then their gold starts to turn really black and they can't move very well. So the water slows them down. Then you can attack them, and they still
And
take
how do you get water on them?
You have to either get a bucket and run to find water and splash it on them, or you have to lure them into shallow water
Okay.
and then fight them there. There's another kind of enemy that's covered in plants. Another skeleton's covered in plants. If they are in water, they start glowing green, and you can't hurt them. So you have to get them away from the water. So
Okay.
depending on the types of enemies that are coming at you in waves, you have to strategically get them in the right spot. We had one person on the boat firing cannons. The rest of us were running around trying to get the right guys on the right places. And then, of course, there's ones that are these shadow skeletons, and their eyes are glowing, and they look like shadows. You can't hurt them at nighttime. So if those come at you, you have to wait till the sun comes up. Then you can attack them. So there's some pretty cool stuff there. When it's finished, we beat the boss. We finally defeated him, picked up the key, went underneath the fort, and opened up his treasure loot area. And this guy had a ton of treasure. I think we sold about 13,000 coins worth of treasure. Treasure boxes, skulls, these gold cups, all kinds of stuff. So I felt like a real pirate as 4 of us were going in and out of this treasure loot hold and loading it onto our ship. We had to make multiple trips while getting attacked by sharks. I mean, it just felt, that night was so epic. Fighting the Kraken, taking down a fort, getting a ton of treasure. When it executes correctly and you're with a team of people that you can have fun with and chat with, this is a fantastic experience. When it's executed correctly. Just know that if you're an RPG nut and you must see improvement, that's not necessarily there, but this game can still be fun with the right circumstances, if that makes sense.
I think you just need the right party of people to play with, and you got to have, like I said, that personality that you're fine with just being dropped in a world and just exploring.
Yeah.
And I don't have that.
So the last question I have about this is: does this game make you feel like a pirate? I would say yes, sometimes, but I'm a little bit too nice, and so I don't usually rob other ships. I get taken advantage of a lot, though. I get my stuff wrecked all the time. So
Jeez Louise.
yeah.
We know who the pitcher and catcher is in this relationship. Jeez.
I'm not gonna argue that. All right.
I'm not gonna confirm or deny.
All right. So that is Sea of Thieves. If you have an Xbox, I recommend go get Game Pass. Try this game out. You don't have to spend $60 on it. You can just pay for maybe 1 or 2 months of Game Pass and get it that way. Otherwise, it should be on sale, I would imagine, even by the summer, if not the fall. Check it out then. Once it's down to 40 and below, it is definitely worth a purchase. Maybe not 60 if you're a little nervous about. If you're like Derek and you think, hey, I might not enjoy this, then just wait. So there you go.
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves. Pretty solid game. I'm really enjoying it. All right. Next up is A Way Out. So this is where we really got to dig deep and talk about our feelings. I talked a ton during Sea of Thieves because I've played it a lot, and I'm pretty pumped about that game. It's
Yeah.
so I really enjoy it. But why don't you set us up for A Way Out? However you want to do
Okay.
it.
Yeah, so I actually, when this game was announced, I really wasn't that intrigued by it. I thought it looked okay, while everybody else was like, this game looks amazing. And I'm a fan of Brothers. That's the other game that these guys made. It's an indie game, and I enjoyed it, and I've talked about Brothers a ton on this show, so I'm not going to go into it. But I actually got even more interested in this game when I started seeing reviews, and it was reviewing pretty solid. And then the big thing for me, the draw was a lot of the reviews were saying that it had a good story and it ended pretty awesome. And so I kind of wanted to give it a shot. So Tim was nice enough to purchase this game on PlayStation 4. And so we've, what are we, probably about 3/5 of the way through. There's 5 chapters, and I think we
were just
are either
chapter
finishing
4.
3, or we're just
We went to a
at the
totally
end
new
of it.
location, so I'm pretty sure it's chapter 4.
So we're probably in chapter 4 of the 5. But to kind of give a setup for the game, it's a co-op game. It's mandatory co-op, so you can either do it local or online. The coolest part about it to me is that you only need 1 copy. So Tim bought the copy. Even if we weren't game sharing, I could still play with him. Just all I have to do is be invited by him, download a copy of the game, and then I can play with him for free.
Yep.
So I think that's really cool. It's a unique thing, and that's the thing with these guys is when they created Brothers was also a unique experience. It's not something that you could be like, yeah, I've played that before. No, the way they do their games, they definitely have a unique experience, and they were going for that with this game. So they made it mandatory co-op, but they did the cool thing and the smart thing business-wise and saying, well, you can at least play with somebody for free.
And you are right. These are the same guys who made Brothers, but I'm pretty sure it's a different
company name. Yeah.
I think it was just like the same core team from Brothers, because there's a lot of similarities in from Brothers to this one. If you guys haven't played Brothers, by the way, it is essentially a single-player co-op type game. You can't play it 2-player, but each character is controlled by a different analog stick on your controller. Very interesting way.
Can be very confusing and mind-bending at first, and then you kind of get in a rhythm.
Yep. So these guys have some interesting ideas, and I think for the most part, the stuff that we have experienced in this game so far, I would say that 80% of the co-op things they added in this game are fun and kind of, oh, that was cool. I like that. There's a few moments which we can talk about that I was
we will talk about it because I was going to bring it up. Yeah,
that was pretty forced. But anyway.
So, so now that you get a general idea of what it is, it's a co-op game. It's an adventure game with 2 guys that meet in jail, and their whole point is to break out of jail, and then they both
the 70s, right? Or maybe 80s?
Yeah, I think it's 70s or early 80s.
Okay.
They want to break out of jail, and then they want to get revenge on I forgot his name, some dude who kind of backstabbed both of them in some way. So it does have a unique narrative. That's again what kind of drew me in. I wanna know. First of all, I want to know this big twist or this amazing ending everybody talks about. I'm sure I'll be let down by it, but I am curious to understand that. So there is a little bit of mystery to it. But the other thing is this game's only $30.
Yep.
So it's really cool that it doesn't look AAA to me. It looks like it would be a AAA game on the PlayStation 3.
That's
It
fair.
definitely
Yeah.
it doesn't look like an indie, but it definitely doesn't have the clarity and the level of detail of like a AAA game now.
Do you
But
think
it
a
still
comparison
looks.
to like one of the early Uncharted is fair before they were remastered?
I was actually thinking it kind of reminded me of like Heavy Rain on the PS3.
Okay.
That type of game.
Which is
Heavy
still
Rain might look
passable,
a
but
little
like
bit better.
there's better
but
looking games now, but it's still passable, right? So,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I thought that I think what's cool about this game, I thought it was funny when you and I were playing this. The two characters are completely unique. Their personalities are polar opposites. So when you start the game, they actually have you choose which one you wanna be, and they give you a brief description of it. And I immediately went to Leo, who's like this hot-headed, runs his mouth jerk douchebag. And Tim immediately, like we didn't ask, we didn't say anything, we just both silently did it. Tim went to Vincent, who's the quiet, like more quiet thinker. He's strategic. And so I thought that was funny that we immediately did that without talking about it. It
Yep.
was just like, no, Leo's my dude, and you're
On the
Vincent
character
all the way.
selection screen, all of a sudden we both realized, oh, it's kind of like an old school football game where you got to slide your controller over to which side you want to be on. We both went to our respective characters, and as we both read the description, we both started laughing out loud, like at the same exact moment, as we realized we just picked essentially video game versions of ourselves. Is what happened.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So they both have
I-
different reasons for being in this prison. Of course, it does have some. There are times I'm a big fan of the movie Shawshank Redemption. So there were moments where the visuals and kind of the setup reminded me of Shawshank. I am not at all suggesting that the story or characters or anything are as good as that movie. That movie is amazing. But it did give me some of those vibes, same time frame as well, I think, and just kind of similar looking prison. This is not a game for kids. I do want to give you that warning.
Yeah.
Right out of
Yeah.
the gate, Vincent is coming to prison. Leo has been there for a little while. That's the setup of the game. And as Leo is, it's cool because it goes to split screen right away, and we can both see and hear what the other one is doing, even though we're playing it online together. So it's a very unique experience, and that's the entire game, by the way.
Yeah.
And so as Derek is walking around as Leo in the prison yard, talking to a few guys, I am Vincent arriving on the bus, going in, getting my street clothes off, and getting hosed down, which is where it's super not kid friendly. You get a full view of Vincent.
Well, and that was where we realized that I was really Vincent and Tim was not Vincent because of the size of his.
Oh, that's the problem. Oh, that was the problem. That's what it is. But there's a moment where all the new guys, all the new prisoners are lined up there, holding their blanket and new whatever wardrobe in a little pile right in front of their business. But all of their bare butts are easy to see and everything. And I hear Eli in the background as we're playing it. He's like, "Why are they all naked?"
Yeah. Yeah, Eli enjoyed that game.
Yeah, so not necessarily kid-friendly. So far, that's been the only moment, though. There's a little bit of violence, but it hasn't been super extreme since then.
No, there's not really much violence. I mean, you punch guys and
You see
stuff
a guy
like that.
you see a guard get stabbed by another prisoner,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But
Yeah, but it's nothing real bad. Language is bad.
oh
but
yeah,
that's to be expected.
tons of swearing in there. Yep, especially from Leo. Classic, right?
Yeah.
Classic Leo.
Classic Leo.
So throughout the first chapter of the game, there you are, of course, and we're going to do our best not to spoil anything here, but you, of course,
Yeah.
you're trying to escape from the prison. If you've seen any pictures from this or seen any gameplay video, you know that you're not in the prison the whole time. That's all I'll say. But they introduced at the beginning some really, I thought, I don't want to keep saying the word interesting, but they're interesting scenarios where you need to work together to accomplish what you're trying to do. And so there's some interesting ways because, of course, in prison it's very restricted in what you can bring into your cell and whatnot. There's just some creative ways where you have to work together to get different tools and to be on the lookout for the other person as they're trying to get something done. I think they did some pretty cool stuff in the prison specifically, as well as outside with the co-op stuff. But outside, there are a few moments that made us both laugh out loud. Like that was totally unnecessary and dumb
Yeah.
for a co-op option. I don't know.
Yeah, like there's like times where you like have to move like I remember one of the worst ones was like we had to lift a huge like tree that had fallen over in our path, and both you and I are like, why wouldn't we go underneath it or above it? Why would we lift it? And it wasn't like
Or around
real
it.
low
There's
to
a
the
whole forest.
Yeah. I mean, it just didn't make sense. It felt forced. Like, hey guys, we got to put something to get these these two players to be doing something
Yeah.
together, and it's like,
Because they're
no,
talking,
you don't.
right? There's some interesting
Yeah,
conversation happening as you're
you
walking.
really don't. Like, they don't need that stuff. The times that they legitimately have co-op, like you're doing something and it's moving the story and the game forward. And there's several times they do this. This isn't like one instance. There's several times where it's unique. Like one
Yeah.
time and again, not spoiling it, we're going, down a river, a fast-paced river, and it takes you and your co-op partner coordinating how you're going to go down this river or how you're going to control the boat, because you can easily just slam into a rock or something like that if you're not paddling together
Yep.
on both sides and
Yep.
communicating.
And there's
That
multiple
stuff's
times,
unique and
there's
it's
multiple
not
times
forced.
where the conversation is, okay, how are we going to do this thing? Vincent thinks one thing, Leo thinks another, and then the two of you have to vote on it. Like which one are you going to do? And of course, their options pretty much totally reflect their character. So Leo is much more, let's just get this done, let's just go. I don't care what, how we have to do it, let's just do it. And Vincent's much more, no, there's going to be consequences to that. We got to slow down. So
Yeah.
there's some interesting stuff there too, where you have to decide how you want to approach this person. Or this, situation. So I thought that was pretty good. I think the puzzles overall are kind of very expected, video gamey. You need to climb up here to get this one item and then climb back down and use that one item. That's pretty much it. That's for the most part how the puzzles work. They're not super in depth. They're super tough. What's more impressive is the way that you have to work together to accomplish those puzzles. So I think that's pretty good. Overall, I think the story is pretty interesting too. I'm
So
interested
far,
to find out.
I want to find out the ending. I know it's been hard for us to consistently schedule co-op time, and that's probably why we haven't beat it yet. But
we've only had two play
I'm
sessions,
interested.
and we're already in chapter 4 out of 5. So it's not a super long game. On howlongtobeat.com, I think it said about 6 hours or so.
Okay.
So I think we've had 2 play sessions of about an hour, and then maybe one of 2 hours, something like that. So I think we're just over halfway through the game.
Okay. Yeah, so I think so far it's intriguing. I'm hoping the ending is good. I know you and I, without spoiling it, we have our suspicions of what the twist might be. And so I like when I'm already thinking about that, because then I like to see if I'm right, or if I am wrong, did they do a better version of what I thought it was.
Yeah.
So I am excited to beat it. I definitely want to see it through. Your last question that you wrote was, is it worth getting? I say yes. I think it's a buy now. I don't think it's one that you have to wait for sale unless you want to, of course. But if you're like on the fence and you're like, is this really worth getting? Yeah, if you have another person that would play it with you, get it. It's fun. It's a unique experience. I think they've nailed it. Some of the dialogue can be cheesy. I actually laugh at it. Like you and I have had so much fun playing it, just laughing at the game, laughing at some of the choices.
But not thinking it's bad. But there's just
I'm
moments
I'm not like, oh my god, this is so terrible. But like, just like one of the things we were doing was we had to play basketball with this kid. And the mechanics of the basketball is
bad.
just so terrible.
We also discovered that when one of us sees it go in, the other one looks like an air ball to them. So
Yeah.
it's clearly, it doesn't care. The game doesn't care about that, but that is pretty funny. Yeah, and of course, throughout the game is not at all meant to be a love story of these two inmates coming together, but we are certainly turning it into that with our commentary.
It's all about them two
And that's
being
why it's
lovebirds
a way out. It's a way out of the closet.
closet. Yeah,
No,
but I recommend it
I
so
did
far.
too. Make sure you've got someone to play with, though. I do think you can play with random other people. I think there was a way to
You
do that.
can, you can
But
just go online.
I would recommend playing it with someone that you know, if
Yeah.
you get a chance to. So, and it's not a
I
super
think that's
challenging
what
game.
makes
So
it more
if you want to
fun.
play it through with someone who maybe isn't a super video gamer but kind of likes stories and whatever, it's not a super challenging game. It is couch co-op encouraged actually, although they made online a thing because they had to. But they do encourage couch co-op. It's all done in split screen right there. So, not a bad idea to play it with someone who might be in the room with you too. So there you go. A way out of the closet.
Way out. Good job.
All
Good
right.
game.
Last game to talk about. We've got a lot of fun games going on right now. Last game to talk about is Far Cry 5, which came out this past week. I've been spending a ton of time with it. I'm memorizing all their songs so I can teach them to our church. Those songs are pretty great.
Can't wait to start my own cult.
Yeah, it's going to be
exciting.
great. Yeah. Having your own cult's going to be amazing.
It is. It really is. I'm definitely going to be the alpha male in that cult.
Oh, I have to be one of your dumb lieutenants who owns an area and they have to take me down to make you mad.
Hey guys, follow Derek. He's great. Shut up, Tim. Oh,
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry, brother, Derek.
So Far Cry 5, of course, is Ubisoft's return to their open world franchise. It's really been 4 years almost since their last major entry in the franchise of Far Cry 4. They did, of course, since then have Primal, which came out 2 years ago, almost exactly 2 years ago. I really like that game a lot. I don't think it's the best thing ever, but it is really, really fun. I'll tell you what, though, Ubisoft has found a formula with this franchise, and they are sticking with it. Because in my opinion, Far Cry 5 executes in some really great ways on that formula, but it still is, if you've played Far Cry 3 and on, it's sticking overall to that formula of open world, do lots of hunting, upgrade a ton of stuff. Very counter to Sea of Thieves. This game has a lot of RPG-like elements to it. You upgrade everything. You upgrade everything from the damage you do to how loud your feet are when you walk or run to different pieces of equipment like a parachute or a grapple hook, carrying more weapons, carrying more ammo, all that kind of stuff. There's tons and tons of upgrades in this game. And of course, you get lots of side partners, pals as well. You get some humans that can join you. You can get a pilot who can bomb people from a distance. You can have a dog who sniffs out enemies for you and can attack them sometimes. So there's a lot to upgrade in this game, and I think Ubisoft has done a great job of creating a pretty deep system for what is essentially a very action-packed first-person shooter game. And there's some exploration there too, but I think they've packed a lot of upgrade stuff into it. And you said when we started, it's got its hooks in you. Is that primarily what's got you? Is how much you can upgrade and control, or what is it that's hooking you about this game?
I mean, there's a good amount. First of all, I'm a big fan of Far Cry. All right, let me clarify. I like the Far Cry franchise. I wouldn't say a big fan because I like the gameplay, but it doesn't really go beyond that. Like, I would never say Far Cry is my game of the year. It might make my top 10, it might crack the top 10, but generally they fall off because I don't know, I just don't have that emotional hook to them, but I do enjoy playing them. Like, I liked Far Cry 4, I liked Far Cry 3, I beat those two, I beat Far Cry Primal. I didn't like that one as much, but I thought it was pretty good. But that being said, I was really excited for Far Cry 5. I knew they were making some changes to the gameplay, which I'll talk about in a second, that I like. Or really, it's more, the gameplay is kind of very similar, but they made some changes to like how you progress through and level up and things like that compared to the older games. But the thing that intrigued me the most is I was actually excited about not only the setting but the story. I liked the direction they were going in. I knew it was kind of controversial, even for somebody like me.
Well, yeah, set up
who's
the
a
story for people,
Christian.
because in the past these games have been in like a tropical setting or in the Himalayas or back in old, BC 10,000 or whatever. But now it's finally set in USA. And so set us up a little bit what the story's background is.
Yeah, so you are in Montana, I believe, and basically this cult has taken this family, the Seeds, has taken over an entire state.
Or at least the
And
county, right? Like a whole
yeah, a
county.
county, I should say, a county of Montana, and they're just these crazy Christians that believe that you either need to say yes to their ways or you will pay for it. You will die. And they do it in a charismatic way. They're not like scary like when they say that they're coming for you. It's not like said in like a scary way. It's like they think they are loving you, like they're doing the right thing. So it is kind of creepy in that way because they're just like, say yes or we'll come get you,
Yeah.
and it's like, holy crap. But
Yep.
but yeah, so it's intriguing for me because this stuff has happened in the past where you've had people take religion. Well, it happens now where they take the name of religion and they go too far, and that's kind of what this is. They've taken Christianity and they've taken things that is said in the Bible out of context, and they're now taking it too far. And you're a deputy. You can actually choose your gender in this.
And your race.
In this game,
right?
which I did get triggered because I wanted to be able to pick a female character and then add a penis
Do you
and
know
become
what?
male.
It actually says, and this is a big problem for Ubisoft, they are not very progressive. It actually says, are you sure this cannot be changed later?
Yeah, not okay with that. That should be part of
what's
the
that about?
progression system. You should be able to change sexes during change your gender during the game.
You absolutely should be able to.
Yeah, so that
Big
kind of
oversight. Big oversight.
Yeah, that one really upset me. Plus, I really wanted to just kill Trump supporters, and this game doesn't allow you to kill Trump supporters.
No, you actually
That's
end up teaming up with very stereotypical Trump supporters, right? The hunters and kind of the old school dudes with American flags. You team up with a whole lot of people that, and there's even a like a preacher man who's got a church with he's got tons of guns as well. They, to their credit, although this game is about taking out a cult that has its most of its teachings and what they say based out of a misconstrued take on the Bible. That being said, they do a good job of saying, hey, we're not claiming this is all Christians or all whatever religion. These people are crazy. I actually got some vibes from comparing it to like David Koresh, the whole Waco, Texas thing.
That was what I was thinking.
They're using lots of scripture. There's a very charismatic leader who everyone admires, and he's young. He's got lots of energy, and so
topless all the time.
Yeah, shirt off all the time. But then, of course, there's a lot of creepy stuff going on. You'll go around and you'll find some grain silo that not only has their flag on it, but also the dead body of someone they tortured and killed and left hanging there. So it's interesting the way they talk to you, but then what they do are so opposite of each other. We're talking about forgiveness and love and redemption, and it kind of makes it creepy. The way they look at you.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
The game does a good job of making the main characters, especially that you are confronted with. As you go to each area, you end up interacting with them a lot in different ways. And they really, I believe that they believe what they're doing is good. Like it seems that way. And so the performances, I think, across the board, even the NPCs, are pretty darn good. But the performances for the main villains are pretty stellar, I think.
Yeah, I've enjoyed. You meet the main one because he talks to you a decent amount. They did a better job of showing him more than Far Cry 4's
Pagan Man
villain.
You barely saw, right?
Yeah. So you actually get to see, I'm forgetting his name.
Joseph
Seed. You get to see him a good amount.
A lot, yeah.
But I've already finished off one of the brothers, and then I'm now going after the sister.
I'm on the same exact path as you. Yep.
So they're taking the time to show you the villains a good amount. You get to know the ones that you're facing off with. You kind of get an idea of what they believe in, what their strengths and weaknesses are. So they've done a really good job with this game. But let me talk about some of the stuff why I like this one. I would say more than any Far Cry game I've played so far. Again, maybe the story will downgrade it later, but I really don't think so.
No.
I think the story so far is better than most of the other Far Cry's I've played, and the gameplay and the upgrading of your character and stuff is what I'm enjoying the most. Like,
Hey, by the way, what if the story ends with you choosing whether or not to join their cult?
so here's the thing.
That'd actually be interesting if they do that. I have no idea.
Here's what I felt like they should have done. So, for those who don't know, there's a secret ending in the beginning of this game, just like Far Cry 4. And did they have it in Far Cry 3? I don't remember, but I know they had it in Far Cry 4.
Right.
All right, so there's a secret ending. This is not a big spoiler, so if you're gonna cry, skip ahead 1 minute. But you, in the beginning of the game, you go and you meet. What seed is it again?
Joseph, the leader. Well, you actually see
Joseph.
all of them in there, but yeah.
They're all in there, but Joseph's the one you're after.
Yeah.
So you go in there to arrest Joseph, and then the marshal looks at you and says, "Put cuffs on him." And if you just sit there and you refuse to cuff him, the game ends. So what I was hoping while I'm sitting there waiting is I was hoping I would then pull out my gun, shoot the marshal, shoot the deputy, and be like, "Hey, Joseph, I did what you wanted me to do." And I thought that would be a cool alternate ending that you were part of his cult.
That would
all
actually
along.
be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead, what we got was, "We're not going to arrest him." And then you just walk out. And it's like, that was stupid.
Okay, because the way the game kicks off is the cult's kind of waiting for a reason to go into this kind of end of the world mode. So far, they've been just a really weird cult, and they haven't hurt anybody. But then, of course, the beginning of the game with you and the sheriff and the U.S. Marshal, you guys set off a whole bunch of events that then trigger, literally trigger the cult into action. And that's when they start getting violent and attacking. And so I wonder if that's how the game ends, is that no, they don't end up attacking because you don't actually trigger events the way you
Yeah,
do.
and that's pretty much what the deputy says. Is he finally like grabs your hands, puts it down, and says, "We're not gonna arrest him. We're not gonna risk this." And he walks out, and the marshal's pissed off. He's like, "No, we got to do it." Blah blah blah. But I still thought it would be cooler if there was like a little twist, like, "Hey,
Oh, so you already
you're
beat
part
this
of the
game.
cult." Yeah, I already beat it. I'm done with it. But so what I like about it is, first of all, I love the world. I think the world's great. I wouldn't say it's a huge difference from Far Cry 4 or 3. You're in a foresty, mountainy area. But what I like about it is I like all the stuff that I'm being asked to do. I'm really enjoying it. Like, most of the time in an open world game, my strategy is I'll do a bunch of side stuff and the main stuff in the beginning and get OP and then finish out the story. I'm not saying I won't eventually do that with this game, but right now, in the first area, I did everything you could do. Now, I haven't done every side quest because you can talk to a bunch of people, and I probably haven't talked to a bunch of people to unlock different side missions, but I've did like a lot of their little like the outposts. I did all the outposts. The preppers.
Blowing up the silos.
Yeah, I did all the silos. The preppers, all that stuff. I did all that.
But yeah, if you look at your map and you zoom all the way out and you hover over it, it'll show you your count of how many of that thing are left, basically.
So I pretty much cleared the main area pretty efficiently. I'm sure there, again, is stuff I still would need to do, but overall, I spent a lot of time in there. And then I am in the second area, and I'm doing the same thing. Like, I'm not, again, mainlining the story. I'll do a story mission, but I'm mainly trying to focus on, oh, can I find another prepper? Can I find another thing to blow up? Another, area to conquer? That's what I'm enjoying. And one of the reasons why I'm enjoying it is I am playing the game predominantly, I'd say predominantly right now solo, but I have co-opted a lot. Like, I've probably co-opted 4 or 5 hours.
Nice. And how is the co-op experience?
It's super fun. It's just fun to just go in and destroy. Like, I'll be playing with my friend, and I'll be like, "So do you want to stealth it, or do you want to?" And while I'm asking, they're like blowing the shit out of everything. I'm like, "Well, guess we're going
There's
in
your
guns
answer.
blazing." Yeah. I guess we're going in guns blazing, but it's just been a super fun experience. The progression system that I like, it's built off a perk system, and you earn these perk points by there's multiple ways, but one of the main ways is there's just all these little. It kind of reminds me of like Borderlands, where there's a list of stuff you could do, like get 20 kills with
Oh,
an
the
SMG.
challenges. Yeah.
Yeah, these challenges.
Yep.
And when you complete a challenge, you get perks.
Yeah.
The other way is, and one of the reasons why I enjoy doing I think I'm saying it right, the proggers or preggers, I don't remember.
The preppers?
Preppers.
The preggers?
Where's my head at?
Track down the preggers.
But the preppers are like these little. They're kind of simple puzzles to get into secret areas that have perk magazines that you can get, a bunch of cash, and a bunch of loot.
Yeah.
And so I've been trying to do them all because one reason is I want the cash because the cash allows me to buy better weapons, and the other thing is I want the perk points because the perk points allow me to upgrade my character. So
Well, I like the way that they get uncovered as well, because you'll be traveling around the world. You might run into somebody who's hunting, but they'll have a
Yep.
little kind of blue diamond shaped icon above their head with a little exclamation point in it. And the idea is you go talk to them, and they'll give you a clue that will then pop up on your map of, hey, if you go here, I hear they'll tell you some little story. Sally Mae had some stuff in her basement. I hope no one gets to it. I hope the cult doesn't get to it. So then,
Yep.
of course, you go to Sally Mae's house, and then you find a note there that's either taunting the enemy or giving a clue to an ally
how to get
on
in
how
there.
to get in there. And then you have to kind of look around the environment, figure out, is there a key I have to find? Do I have to zip line in there?
Some of them have been like tricky, but overall, most of them have been pretty simple if you just explore for a minute.
Yep.
Because usually with puzzles, especially nowadays, I'll just be like, IGN.com, what's your wiki say? With these, I'm actually just running around trying to figure it out, and usually after a couple minutes, something clicks, and I'm like, oh, that's what they're trying to get me to do. And some of them I just figure it out right away, because the clue will be like, oh, like one of them was like, you have to unlock the door from the inside. Well, there's a window on the other side, and if you just go and snipe the lock, you unlock it. So, and they kind of give it away with the hint. But one of the things I wanted to say is one of the critiques I've been seeing from a lot of people is they don't like the gunplay. You got to remember this game is still more action than RPG, but there are RPG elements to this. And so you do unlock with the perk system, you do unlock the ability for more stability in your aiming, which is huge because, yes, when you first start shooting like machine guns, it's all over the place. Right. So you want to unlock perks that will give you some stability, but also it's your gun. Like, you have to get better guns. Yeah. You also have to get better equipment on your guns. That allows them to be more stable, more accurate, more powerful. So that's been another reason why I've been enjoying it, and it kind of goes back to what you're talking about. Have you been hooked on, just upgrading your character? Yeah, that is part of it. But it's how they're having me upgrade the character. All the stuff I'm doing is fun.
Yep.
Like, I don't feel like... I feel like I'm running into most of this stuff naturally. I'm not like going, okay, to-do list. This is what I need to do to unlock this. And it becomes a chore. I'll just be like, I'll pick some place on the map. Okay, I'm going to go here. And every single time I get distracted, I'll tell my co-op partner, I'm like, sorry, I know I said we were going here, but these guys were shooting at us, so we're stopping, and I'm going to kill them.
And they probably
and
have
then
something.
I'm going to talk. Yeah, and I'm going to talk to this person and try to get some intel, and then that deviates me from, I then leave that mission. I stop doing that mission and go do something else. And so that's kind of how I've been playing the game, is just constantly distracted by the world. And at first...
Well, and for those who don't like the gunplay, I will remind them that they start you with the weakest guns. So
of course,
they start you with the ARC machine gun, which is kind of like a submachine gun. It's not super strong. You can unlock an AK later. You can also, right away, once you save up some money, you can unlock a 50 cal sniper rifle, which I have, and I put a silencer on it, and I added a super scope to it. that thing kills almost everybody in one shot, even if I don't hit them in the head. It's just so
Mhm.
powerful, and you can actually feel the the boom of it hitting them because it's a 50 cal. And then of course,
Yeah.
if you like using the bow and arrow, I actually like having the full auto machine gun option right here. I like having my sniper rifle, and I just recently unlocked the third one, and now I can use my bow and arrow as well because that's a great way to go in there, and that's also for the most part, except for the armed guys, it's going to be a one-shot kill as well if you hit them in the upper part of the body. And so, and the thunk of the arrow landing is super satisfying when you're
And there's
sneaking up on
different
them.
ammo too.
Yep,
So
you can
there's,
get explosive ammo and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
So I think that even though I understand that the 1911 pistol right out of the gate not super satisfying, go buy the Magnum. That thing packs a punch. Go buy some of
Mhm.
these stronger guns. I'm not saying they nailed the gunplay. There's probably games that do it better. Even Destiny maybe does it better in a lot of ways, and that's okay. I do think the gunplay is at least passable, if not with some guns flat out a blast. So I think the gunplay is really
Yeah.
good.
I will say this, and this comes from I bought the gold edition. I originally was going to get the digital deluxe, and then I realized that the gold edition was just $20 more, so it was 90 compared to 70 for digital. By the way, I didn't do a hard copy, and so I was like, okay, so what comes with the gold edition? Well, it comes with the season pass, which has like 4 unique DLC. I don't know if I'll ever play it, to be honest. That's not really why I bought it. I bought it because I was like, oh, you get Far Cry 3 as well. And then they give you a bunch of digital stuff for the game. So that was the point I'm trying to get to. So actually, when I went in to buy like weapons and stuff, I realized I had this, and I don't remember the name of the pistol. I have this really nice pistol already unlocked. So all I had to do is purchase the upgrades. I fully upgraded. I have the highest level scope. I have extra ammo, and then I have a silencer on it. And I bought the highest level of everything. The freaking thing is amazing. Like, it just snaps on people's heads, and I just pop their heads.
It's awesome.
It's not super powerful if you don't headshot them, so you definitely have to put a good amount of bullets in them, but it shoots really fast. So I use a pistol a lot, and then I've just bought an upgraded, I want to say it's the ARC. It's like an upgraded one though.
Mhm.
And then I fully upgraded that. And
Yep.
so I keep buying all these upgraded guns and then upgrading them. And so the shooting is definitely more satisfying as you get better weapons, and as, like I said earlier, your character, if you upgrade and purchase certain perks, that upgrades your ability to use certain weapons. That's what you need to focus on.
Well, and there's also
And
grenade
th-
launchers. There's
Mhm.
RPGs like there, or yeah, there's RPG
And then
rocket
I was
launchers.
getting
So.
frustrated because I only had 2 weapons. And so I just today bought a third weapon slot.
Yep, I went ahead and
So
bought I went ahead and bought the last one too. So now I've got a whole bunch of things going on
4.
at once. Yeah, I like having. I got my.
That's gonna be the next thing I do. The
Yep.
next perk will be the 4.
Yep.
Because I'm gonna want the bow. I'm gonna want my pistol. I don't want to get rid of that. I'm gonna want my auto rifle, and then I have the digital, or not the digital deluxe, but the gold edition comes with a very high power sniper rifle. I definitely want that.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to carry all that stuff with 2 slots, but I can do it with 4.
Well, and
But yeah.
the way they unlock the guns, basically the idea is in every area,
Mhm.
everything you're doing, taking over outposts, blowing up silos, finding the prepper stashes, killing certain VIP targets that are a little bit stronger and they have a special crown over their heads. These things give you resistance points. This doesn't help you upgrade your character at all. It just makes the leader of that region more and more angry, and it advances
Mhm.
the story. There's a few key benchmarks along that line, and then they'll come and talk to you, or there'll be a cutscene, or there'll be some moment, some new story mission that pops up. But even the story missions aren't required. You could skip a bunch of story missions. All you have to do
Yep.
is get their resistance points in that area up to a certain point, and then you trigger the final boss mission for that area. And that's it. So you don't have to do those things. You can completely skip some characters altogether if you want to. I just think it's really fun to do all the story stuff because a lot of the characters are interesting. Like you said, the missions are pretty unique. They do some pretty cool stuff. I did this one mission. Again, this is not a game for kids. A lot of bad language and bad stuff in this one too. There's a mission where there's this thing called the Testicle Festival. And this
Mhm.
guy, did you do this one?
No. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's the guy that's in the spread eagle bar. He's back in the back in the kitchen, and he's preparing food.
I must not talk to him.
In that main Falls End town. So you go in there, you talk to him, he'll give you the mission. I don't want to say too much more about it. Let's just say the way you have to get the things he wants you to get, it's pretty friggin' hilarious. Dude, honestly, it felt like a Grand Theft Auto moment. It felt very Rockstar Games style mission. So I think Ubisoft has taken some plays out of the Rockstar playbook. I think they've taken some plays out of their own franchise and Watch Dogs as well. Some of the characters you run into are conspiracy theory nuts, and they want you to do this crazy stuff to stop the government from watching them. Really gave me Watch Dog 1 and 2 vibes, some of those characters and some of those missions. But again, that's not at all a bad thing. I like both of those games, and so I like the way they've included some of that stuff in here as well. But then, of course, most of it is just take down the cult. And so I think the main storyline, the main cutscenes feel very serious and that's sometimes very nerve-wracking, a little scary. But the game is also just fun, running around, blowing stuff up.
Yeah,
You can
it's fun.
jump into helicopters and planes and parachute out. And
Feels more natural, and I think
Yeah.
that was what I was trying to get at. And you hit the nail on the head when you were like, dude, you can just do whatever you want, and as long as it gives you resistance points, then you're progressing, whether you do story missions or whatever you're doing or not. And that's what's been so much fun is like you can get sidetracked, but you're still moving forward in the story, doing something completely sidetracked. The other thing I wasn't a big fan of in Far Cry 3 and 4 is I hate hunting animals. Like I don't mind killing them, but I hated hunting animals for just the purpose of, well, you've got to get 5 goats to get a better or bigger ammo
this
pack.
is the
And I'm
first
like,
Far Cry game where you're not trying to upgrade your gear by getting pelts and whatever
yeah,
else.
I like the fact that I can kill an animal and that just gives me money. Like, and it makes it so much simpler because I'm like, oh, I don't have to find 6
Well,
Wolverines.
and
Now I can just
those are all challenge related, right? Skinning a certain. And
Yeah.
it's not too many. It's actually a pretty low number. You can
Yep.
complete a challenge by skinning this many Wolverines, this many bears, this many elk.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it gives you
So
perk points.
I feel like they've taken everything that I wasn't a huge fan of and either gotten rid of it or made it better.
Yeah.
Another thing they got rid of is you don't need to climb like these buildings or whatever to unlock areas. You just explore. It's kind of like Zelda Breath of the Wild. You just take your binoculars, you look and go, I want to go there. You go there and it unlocks.
Now you can
know,
pick
what,
up maps throughout the game that will show you like, hey, this is a hunting location or this is a
Yep.
whatever. But those are not
maps
they're not,
or talking to people.
or just talking
so
to people,
it's
right?
it's more natural than hey, go climb this area and then it'll unlock everything you need to know about that area.
And the
which
game
is something
does
they've
make
done.
the talking to people part. I think it's been programmed in a way that wherever you are, it will spawn NPCs that are friendly. You can go talk to almost everywhere you go. There's always a hunter. There's always someone riding a 4-wheeler. There's always someone battling an enemy. Just to go help them finish the battle or whatever they're doing, and then talk to them, save them from the cougar or whatever.
It's more alive. That was the other thing. Like I was gonna say earlier, where like I get distracted. Well, the reason I'm getting distracted is the whole world is so alive. Like they're really fighting each other. It's not just you fighting them. It's everybody rebelling against them will be out there fighting. And so as you're driving, you might see somebody on the side of the road handcuffed with a cultist behind them about ready to shoot them. And you have the opportunity to either rescue them or fail. And I've failed. There's been several times where I've tried to kill the cultists and maybe I missed or something and they just put a bullet in their head.
Yep.
But if you free them, that gives you more points towards the story. And also, it sometimes unlocks missions or locations or things like that when you go and talk
like
to
an
them.
outpost location. Maybe.
Yeah. So there's just so much. It all feels alive. It feels more natural. It's definitely, in my opinion, the best Far Cry.
The music in this game is phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
So the soundtrack itself, the score, is beautiful. They do a great job of incorporating some kind of very acoustic guitar, banjo soundtracks with some really epic music as you're battling and as you're exploring. Not only that, but they have a pretty cool soundtrack when you are in cars that are not owned by the cultists. You can just turn to the rock station. They've added some really cool classic rock as well as modern rock songs that I like. But then, of course, they've got their cult folk band that's created, I would say, at least 5, maybe 6 songs that are on a loop. So when you're taking down outposts or when you steal a car from them or you hear them drive by, you keep hearing these songs. They sound like very old school kind of, Christian choruses from old school
Mm-hmm.
contemporary, very conservative churches. But of course, the lyrics are super creepy, and they're all talking about the end of the world and the collapse and how the Father helped them, and they're singing a song about faith, help me, faith, that kind of thing. Faith is the sister,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's fascinating. It adds a very eerie feeling to all of it because you can hear there's a crowd of people singing this, and then you look around and see that they're torturing people. You can hear people screaming from a barn or something that they're being tortured. And
Yeah.
so it's a very interesting contrast. I think the way they've done the sound overall, but mainly the music, has been really outstanding. So you're right. This game might, with major heavy hitters coming out this year, like God of War comes out in just 3 weeks. I'm so pumped. There's other major games coming out, of course, like the new Tomb Raider and Red Dead Redemption 2, and who knows what else from Nintendo. So there's heavy hitters coming that I think will probably, I'll rank them higher as an overall Game of the Year game. I have a feeling I will, because I like this game a
Mm-hmm.
lot. I just think I'll like those better.
Oh yeah, I think
But
this will
there are
eventually slide.
aspects of this game, like the just plain fun or the badass award or the music, that this thing will deserve major props because it is high quality. This is the definition of a AAA game, and it is
Yep.
worth your money. If anything we've described to you sounds appealing, 100% go play this game. It's super fun. I think most outlets are giving it in the 8 to 8.5 range, which means very good.
I'm a little higher right now on it. I think
Yeah,
it's the best Far Cry I've played.
yeah.
So like I said, unless it just gets like annoying or repetitive, right now it's just so much
And
fun.
we haven't even gotten into the fact that they've already announced their DLC. You can buy a season pass. They've got a ton of DLC. You can buy these things called silver bars, which then, with real life money, so there's microtransactions, you can. I have not done that once because I'm finding all the in game stuff I need throughout playing it
Hmm.
to upgrade stuff. So I don't feel the need to do that, but you can if you want. I think they've got 3 DLC type content packs coming. I don't know if they're going to be story or whatever, but they do also have the Far Cry Arcade, which I have not really spent any time in, but I know that people
I'd like to try it.
are enjoying that. So I don't have much to say about that, but you can earn perk points by doing that as well. So there's a
I was
whole
gonna say that's what's cool about the game is like for instance, I'm playing co-op, so a lot of times I am playing in my world, but I'll also play in my friend's world. And when I'm playing in their world, I'm not progressing my game, but I am my character.
Hmm.
So anything I do in that game, anything I collect or um, unlock, carries over to my game. And that's the same thing with the arcade. You can go screw around in the arcade, and anything you do in there can be carried over to your main game. That's all great, especially for a game that's all about getting you more powerful so you can eventually progress through and beat the game. They're giving you a bunch of options like, hey, just do it this way and your character will get stronger,
Hmm.
naturally.
Yep.
So
Yep. That's awesome.
I've got nothing but positive things to say about Far Cry 5. It's easily not much competition. My game of the year so far, I know we're early, but I'm just saying it's my favorite game that I've played. Monster Hunter was originally, but I got burned out on that. Maybe I will get burned out on Far Cry 5, but this is more my style of game. I enjoyed Monster Hunter, but it got old. It got repetitive. I got sick of doing what I was doing. This, I'm doing so many different things. I'm not getting sick of what I'm doing
Yeah.
because it's not the same thing over and over.
Yep. That makes sense. Yeah. So actually, speaking of which, that's a good transition. Next week, my plan is, if this goes well, my plan is for us to review the first quarter. And the first quarter of 2018 is already behind us. We are in April now. So
Yep.
we are going to review Q1 and just kind of give our overall thoughts on the first 3 months of video games, what we liked, what we didn't. As you can tell, we both feel like it was kind of backloaded. The end of March is really where the good stuff started to arrive. But I've got some things I liked from January as well. We'll talk about all of that stuff next week. So I want to hear what you guys think. What do you think about Sea of Thieves? What do you think about A Way Out of the Closet? What do you think about Far Cry 5? Are you enjoying these
Triggered.
games as much as we are? Overall, we have very positive feelings about, well, between the two of us. I have positive feelings about Sea of Thieves, but then both of us have positive feelings about A Way Out and Far Cry 5. So it's been a pretty good little run here in the last couple weeks. for video games. So I've really
Yeah.
enjoyed them. So well, that does it for this week. I know this episode is a little bit long, but those of you who missed us last week, by those of you I mean maybe 2 of you, and maybe one person listens out of hatred and one person listens out of enjoyment. So for you individual who enjoys the show, this is extra special long episode.
I
just for
really
you.
hope John Martin listens to our show out of hatred, but I doubt he even listens.
Oh, one more thing I want to say. There's a part in A Way Out where they're showing you a scene not involving your characters, where a certain character shoots these 2 Arab princes or whatever that are trying to buy something. And right when that happens, right before that happens, Derek says something to the effect of, "Oh, I didn't know Sasan was in this game." Like just out of instinct. Like you didn't even... Yeah.
Yep. If I see any black person, John's in the game. If I see any
Middle Eastern.
just anything from the Middle East, it's Sasan.
Yep. We're very
not
white,
racist at all.
everybody, okay? We are white dudes. What can we say? All right, that does it
You
for
ain't
episode...
white, you ain't right.
That does it for episode 119. Thank you guys for listening. We'll talk to you next week.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?